So this is going to be the retail demonstration. So we've already gone through the main features that we've had on the food service side for both QSR and for fine dining, tableside dining. With that being said, of our retail version, there's a few different functions that you're going to be using a little bit more on the retail side that you wouldn't be using necessarily on the restaurant, but it's essentially going to be a pared down version of what we have for the restaurant side. If there's much fewer functions that you're ever going to need for a retail situation, as opposed to doing a restaurant situation, so that's kind of taken into account there. And also, all of the things that we have in the retail implementation here are still available on the food service implementation of the product as well. So if we have any kind of hybrid, like a restaurant with a souvenir shop attached to it or anything where they're doing food service as well as doing retail, we definitely have the system that can support a hybrid model that has both different kinds there. You can have them running in tandem. And we can do that either by doing our different profiles that we would access here, or we can keep everything underneath the same profile, and it's just the way that we structure everything in our front-end point of sale for access, and what we're going to have more barcode related and more manual entry that would be able to keep us in the same profile for everything. But let's go ahead and log in now. And the same setup and everything that we have in the front for retail is going to be the same. The only real difference is you're going to be relying a lot more on your barcode when you're going to be doing retail sales. So it would be clicking new sale. We can do different things within the retail when we do select a new sale. We can do our different type of sale, or we can go ahead and start building our order. One of the things that we can do when we are going to be putting in our inventory is we can do the manual entry that way. We can also scan items in. Using our barcode scanner, and we could have had those already on the item with the UPC or the SKU provided by the vendor, or we could have our barcode scanner going based off of different barcodes that we've created and we've generated within the system for ourselves. And the other way that we can add items to the tab is by entering in the product name in the product search. So if we don't have a barcode associated, we're not sure where the item is located within the system, here I can still search through the system and find whatever it would be that I would need to put in there. Just tap on the item, and it gets added immediately over to the order pad. Other things that we can do in terms of how we're going to be structuring our items is we can do units of measure. So if this is a one-to-one kind of situation, we can do that. We can also have our inventory adjusted. So this Bud Light 12-pack bottle, its unit of measure would be 12 per pack. So we could actually have that as our inventory measure for 12 per pack. And we can also do things by weight. So for lemon and limes here, if I was doing, I was measuring those out by weight, and I want to enter in the limes, I can make it automatically prompt me for the weight of the item. This is something that the supermarket is generally going to need. A deli situation is going to need this. So if somebody is purchasing 3.5 pounds, I would enter in the weight there, and we have the weight that's calculated, and the appropriate price is then added to the order pad. We have our similar functions that we're able to do here as well in terms of discounting at the line item. We can do comping at a line item. We can do the feeding if we need to as well. And if we put something on an error, we can also delete it at this point as well. And then another thing that we can do is we can either have it by selecting the item when we've added it to the cart. We can select quantity, or we can turn this on as a feature that we will automatically be prompted every time that we do add something to our order pad that we will need to enter in a quantity. This is something that we see being used by hardware stores, gardening centers, any kind of situation where you're going to be buying things both individually or by a pallet, or if you're buying a lot of things that are in bulk, that's where you want to have that quantity option that's going to be constantly popping up. So if this was actually somebody had bought 3 of the same, they have them all there, I can ring in the first item, or I can have it automatically prompt and then select how many of it is that I need to add. And so now you can see that we have our quantity adjusted, and we also have the appropriate price adjusted for the item. Once again, we can have no limit here on our inventory. We can put in as many different categories, as many different items within the categories as we would want to. Generally speaking, the larger your inventory gets, the more barcode related you're going to want to be in the system. It's going to be easier for you to find things both in the front and in the back when you're doing any kind of stock management. And it's also better for keeping up any kinds of really, really detailed, making sure that you have the exact item that you're talking about at all points in time, and there's no kind of a lost in translation about a certain item that's being rung up. So from here, it's a tender. and that brings us to our payment screen, and that's going to be the same as we've seen before for our food service, but we have a lot of different items that are being taken away. We do still have open items, so that if there is something that does not have a barcode for it, it's not in the system, you can't locate it, you can still charge for that item. But we don't need things now that would be like merging tickets, moving tickets, anything table related, anything delivery related. Obviously, we're not going to need that now. So here we can go ahead and just do our payment as we normally would. We have our rewards, we have our loyalty, we can still do split payment. We can still transfer if for some reason we need to transfer to somebody else. We can still do void, we still have our custom tenders. And we also have our forced tax and no tax. With a lot of the different retail establishments, we see a little bit more often where if they're going to be doing anything charitable donations, they're going to want to do no tax on that. Or if it's a charitable organization that's purchasing from them, they can then do no tax. And we can also do the forced tax if for some reason we don't have tax on an item as well. So we'll just go ahead and take this payment here. And one of the things that we have when it comes to retail situation is we need to have a little bit more robust features in terms of refunding. So with the restaurant situation, you're generally going to be refunding at the time of sale. So it's less of a refund and it's more of a void, it's more of a comp. When it comes to retail, it's usually after the fact. It can be after the next day, the next week, however the return policy is that it's going to be available at that retail location. From here, within this check here, this is everything that we have after we pulled up any one of our sales. So we pulled this up already based on our order ID. And if we need to refund the order or we need to refund an item, here's where we can do that. So if I wanted to refund a single item, it would be selecting refund item, and this is based off of the order ID that I pulled up. So if I need to go ahead and refund this, I can go ahead. I want to return this Bacardi Gold here. I'm going to go ahead and put in the price for that and refund that, and that's been refunded off of my order. And if I needed to refund the whole purchase, I can do a refund of the whole purchase as well. And then once I'm finished with all of that, I can go ahead and close that out. And we can set things in retail depending on how fast it is that you need to have your transactions ring up, how quickly your transactions come in between each other, that once you complete a sale, it automatically generates a new sale. So we don't even have to hit this new sale button if we have that option turned on. Once we've taken payment, it's going to automatically go into open sale. The next ticket is ready to be built. We don't need to select new sale. We don't need to select the sales type. It's just automatically going to start, and we can start building that order. So one of the things that retailers tend to do a little bit more often as well is they tend to do more wholesaling and more B2B sales, more business to business. So for here, if I'm going to go ahead and do a wholesale, and say I'm selling to a restaurant here, one of our clients that we have, I'll just go ahead and fill up this order here. And then I want to attach my client to the sale. So let's say that here Charlene is going to be who I'm going to put on here. And they're going to, they have their 10% that they get as an automatic discount. We can place that on the customer record. So if there's some kind of standing discount that a customer gets, we can go ahead and do that. And then when we get to our tender screen, instead of taking payment now, if we want to take payment later, we can now invoice this transaction. We can still take payment after it's been invoiced if we need to just be printing off invoices or sending invoices for the sake of record keeping for both yourself and for the person that's purchasing off of you. You can do that. But if we want to go ahead and just fulfill this order and take payment later, we're going to go ahead and print the invoice. And this is basically what is going to be received. We have our logo, we have our information, we have all of the information for the vendor, or not the vendor, rather the recipient of the invoice, whoever's purchasing all this information. We have invoice numbers for tracking. Our terms of payment are there as well that we have set up through the system. And then every item that we have, and then the subtotal, any additional notes that may be relevant. And then we can go ahead and just email the invoice directly to the customer through the screen. So we can either print that out and hand them a paper copy, or we can email directly through the system and make it a completely paperless transaction. And then all of these invoices will be saved in your 30, 60, 90-day open invoices in the reporting section. So you can keep track of which invoices have been paid, which invoices have not been settled. Everything that's there in terms of the invoicing is going to be available for you there. Okay, and then we still have that split pay option here as well. As far as our other options that we have, it's the same as we have in our food service. We still have the ability to go through our history. We still have the full gift card options here. that we probably are going to be using a little bit more in the retail scenario than we would for a restaurant. Loyalty options is still available as well. So all of the different balances that we can check, adding points, deactivating, searching across our loyalty plans, that's all there as well. Same with price check. If we have the UPC or of the item, we can go ahead and do a stock and a price check on this item so that we can see whether or not we either have it in stock, or we could also see what the price is if there's some no price attached to that. And we still have all of our different register options as well. And then with the client management, it is the same as it is for a restaurant, and it shows you any orders that they would previously have in the system, any loyalty programs that they may be on, and then all of their different information based on name, address, telephone, any notes that you would want in there as well. And then if we're doing our virtual loyalty card, where it's basically we don't have to have a physical card, and we're doing virtual loyalty, there's a number that's assigned to our clients. By attaching them to the record, it will automatically allot the appropriate amount of points and show you the rewards balance that's available within the transaction from doing that loyalty. Okay, so that's pretty much the flow through for the front end point of sale. It's very, very straightforward when it comes to retail. This is probably the easiest implementation that we have of the software, as we don't have to deal with things that we do in restaurants where we have to have kitchen printers, we have to have multiple printer routing, where certain items are going to be printing out at certain areas, like a bar versus a kitchen printing, things like that. And it's very straightforward, and these tend to be our much easier installations and things that we're able to really do much more of these remotely than having to do on-site installations when it comes to retail. Okay. In our reporting section, we can show right here in our receivables where we have all those 30, 60, 90-day open invoices. And the invoice for Charlene that we just created is already in the system here. So you can see that everything is real time in the system. It's automatically going in from the front end to the back end. There's no syncing of the front end. We don't have to close that register to have the invoice translate over into our receivables. It's going to already be there waiting for us. If we need to get into any kind of complex register algorithms, if we need to see anything that's going on in terms of what we have going on at specific sales or under specific people, we can see sales by register if we need to see maybe based on location of register, or we can use our sales by register for different locations. If we want to have everything underneath the same profile, we could have Kevin's stage here be the register for store A, and we can have Eric staging there as store B. So if you wanted to have multiple locations underneath the same profile, some people choose to do that. Some people like to keep them separate. And we do have a concept of roll-up where we can take the data from multiple locations and put it all together into one profile. This is where you can see, based on the registers, which locations, if that's how you decided to split this up, are performing better. You can also see any terminal cash till reports. These are basically everything that we've had settled within a certain date range. All of our registers for our different employees that have been settled. This is where we would find all of that information. Our purchasing information is going to be the same in the reporting as it would be for our restaurant as well. Other things that we have also here within the refunds, and these are more for our refunds that are longer out. So if somebody has within their return policy that you can return things for up to 30 days, these are their transactions that are going to be probably about 2 weeks out at this point. And we want to be able to look up any cash sale transactions for a period of time. We can look it up from here, and we can do full or partial refunds. And we can do the same for credit card transactions if we needed to do that as well. The reason that we have it set up in this manner is we have gotten a lot of feedback from our clients that they like to be able to, on those later refunds, review the item before it manually is added back to inventory. If we were to have done it in the front end, it would automatically have taken those items that we returned and readjusted our inventory and placed it back into inventory. When you have items that have been in the customer's hands for a longer period of time, and then it's coming back to the store, there's a greater likelihood that it's going to have to be sent back to manufacturer, or for some reason it's not going to be able to be sold as the same product. Maybe some kind of damage, some kind of wear and tear, something that's already been taken out of the box, those kinds of different things. They like to have the option of reviewing that before automatically adjusting their inventory. So for here, if I wanted to go ahead and do a partial refund on this $106.40 transaction, I just wanted to return something that was worth $25.60. I could do that partial refund and go ahead and refund that order. And it's going to adjust everything that we have in all of our reporting, and it's also going to adjust on the front end in our register, and that will be something that will show based on the amount of cash that the employee has to turn in when they close their register out at the end of their shift. Now, we can also see reports based on all of the refunds that we've had issued. So if we wanted to go in and see all of the refunds that we have issued during a certain time period, we can do that as well. So it's something that we can go through in the system and pull up. Okay. And then we have all of the normal transaction information that we would need, all of our different sales data, all of our different reports are here, and all of those are available. Same with all of the different employee metrics that we've seen in, before for the fine dining and for QSR. Everything else is there. And so let's go ahead over into the products. We do have the item kits, and the item kits that we have here are those where we have the components that are broken down underneath products. So we have our product could be in the restaurant space. The example is I always use is a pizza, and then it's the dough, the sauce, the cheese, the toppings is what goes into your item kit. If you have the kind of retail business that you're doing any kind of custom built items, so say you're a custom cabinetry business, you can use the raw materials as products and then create item kits based on those raw materials. So if you wanted to, you could do this cabinet package is going to require this much lumber, this many nails, this many pieces of hardware that goes on it, this much stain, and that could be done as an item kit as well. With our units of measure that I spoke about earlier, this is where we can put in our different units of measure, 12 per case, 6 per case. If we wanted, we already have by default each and by the pound. So that's something that's already in there. But if you have any other forms of measurement that need to be placed, this is where that can be done. Any barcode generation we would want to do, if we didn't want to go sifting through our product records and we want to do it straight from here, we can generate barcodes from here as well. And we do support multiple formats for making those different barcodes. If I want to just generate 10 barcodes here to put on my item, it's very simple. It's been generated here, and now I can print it off on my barcode printer, and I can slap it on any item that I might need to do that. Okay, category sort is still available. We still have our subcategories underneath all of our categories as well. Then we can see any subcategories listed under a certain product. As you can see here under beer, we have our subcategory delineation there. And we still do support the concept of the modifiers within this space. So if there is some further delineation that somebody wants in their product offering, so if they want to have size done as a modifier, as a force modifier for an apparel business, they want to have the shirt that is located underneath their brand category, and they want to have small, medium, large, extra large as the force modifier. That's something that can be done as well. Or you can just create new individual products, which is usually what we recommend to do. Purchasing information is all the same with the purchase orders. If I wanted to create a new purchase order, I would go in here. I would hit that plus sign. Make sure all that my shipping information is correct. Any vendor that I have, I can go ahead and choose those vendors. And from there, I get my drop-down of all of the different products associated with this vendor. So if I needed to reorder all of my Malbecs, my Shiraz, and my Cabernet, I can come in here and add those different items that I would need to add to this purchase order to be sent to ABC Beverage. And based on the quantity that I want ordered, I can change that here. So I need 40 of this, I need 50 of this, and I need 20 of these. And based on our unit of measure that we have, if this is going to be something that's 12 per case, or if it's 6 by case, each one of these would be the case that would be ordered. So you can see that the cost is coming over here, and the total is all there as well. And once we've finished adding everything to this, we can just go ahead and hit create. It's going to create that purchase order. And same layout as our invoice. It's one unique layout that we have for our purchase orders, our invoice and our stock receipt. So there's only one basically way that you need to learn the information. And it's all the same information, the vendor's information, your information, everything that's being ordered. And we can directly email this to our vendor through the system as well. And then when we want to do the stock receipt, if I was wanting to do that same purchase there, this would be the one that we just created. So I've already sent it in. I've already received my stock, and I want to be able to show how many I've received. I did get all of my Cabernet. I got all of my Shiraz, but I only got 15 of my Malbecs. I'll adjust that, and then I'll go ahead and close that out. And all of my inventory that's associated there has now been adjusted. So it's a really easy way that we can adjust our inventory when we get our new shipment in. If we wanted to do transferring stock, going stock from one store to another, we do have transfer stock and accept transfer so that we're able to make sure there's no he said, she said on where something is gone. So here we have the reference that we might want to do for the stock transfer. Say I need to do 2 cases of Absolute. And we want to take it from this one store, and we want to take it, send it to the other store that we have associated here. I can go ahead and do my store information. I have my product information here. I'm going to select that category. We said we were going to do Absolute. And these are the different products that I can put on here to transfer. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to transfer 4 of these. I don't think I need any of those, 4 of these. And I'll do 5 of these. So I'll go ahead and create that. And now the stock transfer has been created. I'm still liable for this stock until it reaches the new store because I've initiated the transfer. And then once I'm actually going to accept that transfer, this is where I can find that. We're going to go ahead and do this Bacardi move here. So this is one of the Bacardi that was moved. We have all the products and items that are in here. Transferred 10, 15, and 10. I'm going to go ahead and say that I did get everything here. And by doing that, now I have basically completed this transfer from one store to another. The inventory has been adjusted from store A as being taken off, and it's been added to the inventory of store B. If we want to do any kind of stock measurements, this is something that's usually done on a weekly, bi-weekly basis where you basically are counting all of your stock by hand. We can come in here, and by putting in the UPC code, it's going to bring up the product information for us. It will show what we have on hand in the system, and then we can enter here what we have on hand that's actually been counted. If there's any discrepancy, it will then adjust the inventory appropriately so that we have represented in the system what we have as actual on the shelf. Okay. One of the things that is used a little more in retail as well as the planner. Generally speaking, in food service, the only time that we have the planner being used is if we have large parties or events that are being planned, so weddings, birthday parties, whatever different things that might happen that way. But we can also use the planner. Here we have a number of different clients that use this for different ways. We have people that use this to schedule service appointments. So if there's any kind of maintenance that is associated with a product that's being sold, they can schedule their service here. We do also have anything that's appointment-based, so like any automotive repair or pet grooming, salon, spa, that can also have this planner being used to be able to schedule their appointments. We have our monthly view, our weekly view, and our day view that we can go through. We have different ways that we can filter through our different appointments based on either the title of the appointment, the customer that's associated with the appointment, or the employee that created it. And then we also have different tags that we can associate with these different items as well. So if the tag we wanted to put on the appointment was an oil change, that's something that we can do there as well. So we click anywhere on the calendar, and from there we're able to create our event that we want to add to the planner. We first need to select the employee. So if this is a hair studio and I wanted to assign whoever the stylist was, I could go ahead and assign that stylist. I want to choose the customer. And this is something that's really nice when we choose the customer, is that all of that customer record information pulls up here. And if we're using the planner for these customers, we can see their history in here. We can see different sales that they've had. We know when the last time it is that they've been in here. We can see any tags that have been created for them. In a pet grooming scenario, we might do the tag as the pet's name. That could be something that we want to search against. And then we also can do media. So if there's any kind of picture that we want to have associated with this client, and that's something that happens more for a salon. This is a picture of their hair the way they want it. They sent this in to us. This is what they're looking for. Or if it's the style that needs to be done for a pet and pet grooming, they have a picture. This is the way I want the dog to look. That's something that we can attach there. And based on any customer that we put in here, it's going to change that customer information. And you can see it's pretty instant in how that happens. So go ahead for Betty's Spaghetti. We're going to go ahead and give her a perm. And we'll put in the description of the item. If we need to, well, we're just going to do a perm right there, full head. And then check off whatever the date is that we're going to sign this. We're going to do this on Monday the 22nd. And we're going to do our start time here at 10 o'clock, and we'll do our end time at noon so that we have that blocked off for her. The event type is anything that we have here that would be programmed based on what our different model of business would be. So these would be the different services that we could put in there: cut, color, style, whatever we would want to do. I'm just going to go ahead and press that for now. If this is an all-day event, that's something if you have like large parties coming in and you want to block off a huge amount of time, you can do that. This is not, though, and this is only a one-time thing. So we're going to do that as a one-time recurring. Go ahead and create that event. And the event is added to the planner. Within the configuration, something that is a nice feature for retail is that when we are going into our store information, we can put all of our different specials for any kind of period of time, any promotions that we're going to be doing. We can put here on our receipt, and that will print out basically until we change it. We can also put any kind of payment policy about refunds, any kind of return exchange policy that can be placed there as well. If we needed to change any of our other information, that's always going to be available to us. We do support messaging through the system. So if you wanted to be able to message your employees, either one employee or all of them, you can do that through the system. So if maybe you have an issue with an employee that keeps on coming in late, you can send them a discrete message through the system. It's non-confrontational, and they're able to know that there's something they need to be aware of. Or if you wanted to let people know about scheduling blackouts, like for Black Friday, we're not going to let anybody request off the day after Thanksgiving. You can send that message through the whole system. We also have in here all of our gateway information, any house account information. Our licenses are all managed here as well. And what POS on Cloud does within their licensing is we have these license keys that are installed, and this is for both food service and for retail. The license keys are installed on the devices that are their hardware at the time that they receive their hardware. And what that does is it makes sure that that piece of hardware is licensed to access the information of the client within the cloud. So you can't just go to the local library and go onto the computer and go to posoncloud.com/mystore and be able to access anybody's information. It has to be an approved device that's accessing this particular information within the system. We also do use the licensing for subscription management, and we also use the licensing to be able to monitor hardware. If we have hardware failures where we have like credit card readers are no longer swiping, they're not reading, we have printers that aren't responding, cash drawers that aren't opening, we actually have internal systems that monitor that, and we're able to know that there's an issue with hardware before we're being contacted by the customer. So that is something that's a very nice feature within the licensing setup. And then once again, we do still have with the third-party clutch and value tax for our gift card and loyalty, MailChimp for marketing, and for the reporting, we do also sync up with QuickBooks. So we have all of that available. And that is pretty much the bulk of the retail system. Just one other thing about the nature of it being a cloud point of sale. You always have the most up-to-date version of the product. Right here in this little bell, these are all of our most recent updates that we've done to the system. These are bug fixes, these are new features, these are enhancements to the system. Nothing that's going to drastically change the behavior of the system, but it's pushed automatically to the system when we have updates, and it's usually done at like 4 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, so it doesn't affect anybody's business. And you always have the most up-to-date version. There's no downloading of the latest version and then having to install it, restart your system. Everything is always going to be the most up-to-date version.
Okay, one question here. For retail clothing, can you get style, color, vendor, size, cost?
We still have all of the same different attributes that can be placed into products as we did with food service. And those are different things that we can do when we have our different custom field tags based on size, based on vendor, based on designer. What we generally have had done for clients of ours that are apparel-based is they usually do their category based on the designer, and then they'll have subcategories based on the type of clothing, and then they'll use for the product name the style number. And then underneath that style number, they can have that specific style number that is just style, and then the dash, whatever it is for the size. So you are able to use that number as something that's independent of the SKU to be able to find that product and make sure it is the same product. So if you want to do red sweater style XYAB12345 dash M, that would usually be the style paradigm that they would use.
One other question here in regard to the pricing. Can you set up different pricing structures for specific customers? So like maybe a wholesale rate, maybe some other type of a loyalty type rate or that type of thing?
Yes, that is something that is within our roadmap and our current development. It's actually something that's being worked on right now, is to have different pricing structures based on that sales type. So, and when you saw at the beginning where we had the, when we hit new sale and we could choose by either retail or wholesale, when we have that information in there, the retail would have one set of pricing and the wholesale would have a different set of pricing. We already do have within the system, when we are dealing with our clients, within our client management section, we can set, based on the customer, a rolling discount that would always be applied based on that customer. So if somebody is in there every single day and you're going to want to always get them 5% off, you can have that associated with their client ID, and whenever they're added to that sale, it will automatically do that discount.